What's up guys, Houndish here with a quick Destiny 2 video. I wanted to talk about some interesting stuff, including some of the leaked audio files for Destiny 2 that kind of hint towards a lot of potential future content. Some of that is actually quite easily debunkable, if that's even a word, which I wanted to talk about in this video, but I also wanted to touch on balance and kind of sandbox tuning in the game and how that's working console versus PC versions, and it also really tells us why we haven't seen any sandbox tuning in Destiny 2 as of yet on any platform. I'm going to touch on player bans and some issues people are having in the PC version, and some stats about Destiny 2 and just how well the launch has actually been received. So firstly, I wanted to talk about some of the leaked content that we've heard about, some of the new audio files that were data mined from the PC version of the game. Now firstly, we get a lot of audio lines about Mercury. Mercury is a confirmed location coming in Destiny 2 in the first expansion, which will drop some point in the winter of this year. So any of that stuff that you've heard about could well be correct and is content that we're going to see in the game. There are lines about SRL and Marcus Wren, which are really interesting. Marcus Wren is a famous SRL racer. He's also a potential new shipwright that we'll be seeing at some point in the future. There are plenty of bits inside of this leak which definitely are likely to kind of appear in the game at some point. But there are also other things such as Festival of the Lost, which was confirmed not happening this year in Destiny 2, as well as audio lines for the Prison of Elders, which Bungie have confirmed is not content coming in Destiny 2. So not all of this stuff is necessarily going to appear in the game, and now there is further evidence which suggests that some of the new locations that we've never heard about before could actually be old working titles for those specific places. So I'm going to point out a few very interesting things about Myriad, which is a new location a lot of people are anticipating will come in the future for Destiny 2. A few weeks back, when Destiny 2 actually launched, a player on Reddit did post that they'd had a ghost shell dropped which had the bonus which detects resources on Myriad located within 30 meters of the player. So immediately that's incredibly exciting. There's actually a ghost shell with bonuses for this location in the game. This was in a Russian localized version of the game, so it's actually in the Russian language of course, but it's really interesting that this would appear in the game. Even more interesting is that inside of Destiny 2's database there are some shaders for Myriad. So we have Myriad Shader A as well as Myriad Shader B. So again, that would suggest this is actually a real location that'll be coming in the future, but this is where it starts to break down a little bit. There is a piece of concept art for Destiny 2, particularly on Nessus, but it's actually called the Myriad Crash Site. So in this image here, you can see that there is a ship with the Siva logo on it, but it's actually located on Nessus. Now, some of the Myriad audio lines actually refer to it being a ship, so it's very interesting that the Myriad Crash Site would take place on Nessus, but obviously we have Exodus Black, which is a crashed ship on Nessus. Also in other concept art, the Exodus Black actually sports the Siva icon as well. Now, if you look at the description for the worlds of Destiny 2 on the Destiny the Game website, the one for Nessus actually reads, "Explore the myriad of mysteries, treasures beyond the imagination await." So they've directly used that word myriad in relation to Nessus. And now if we go back and take a look at Myriad Shader A and Myriad Shader B, they are actually identical color schemes to the shaders that we get for Nessus. So we have Nessus Mirage as well as the Nessus Pursuit. So at this point, it is almost certain that Myriad was actually a working title for Nessus and isn't a new location in the game. The audio lines could have actually been recorded a very long time ago in preparation for this new location, but it looks like since that point in time, Myriad actually became the planetoid Nessus. Equally inside of the database, you will see the name Eden pop up quite a lot, and it looks like Eden was a working title for the planet Titan, and you'll also find Lost Oasis referred to a good few times, and that was another title for the planet Io. So I just wanted to point those things out. Definitely worth bearing in mind when we hear these kind of leaks and bits of content. Some of this stuff is incredibly old, and if you cross-reference other bits of data and information from the database, often you'll find that these are things that have changed over time into something else. So I don't really want to poop on anyone's excitement. Obviously, we're still getting a big expansion coming in December. We're going to get Mercury, it sounds like we're going to get the lighthouse inside of Mercury, and a whole bunch of new content, so it's not like there isn't things to look forward to, and I'm sure that there will be potentially new locations. You know, Ganymede in particular could be somewhere that we see perhaps in the Rasputin DLC or in a future update. Up next though, I wanted to talk a little bit about balancing for Destiny 2, and particularly the kind of approach that they've taken between balancing the content console and the PC versions. Now, David Shaw, in a recent interview with PC Gamer, said that they have one design build as the kind of goal for Destiny 2, so they really want to be able to, manage the game, manage how weapons work across all platforms so that it's kind of one unified experience. Obviously though, when the game plays differently, you've got higher frame rates on the PC, people using keyboard and mouse, certain weapons that don't necessarily pop or stand out on one platform can actually be quite different on another one, but for now, the weapons inside of the game are identical on all platforms. I kind of wondered how that would work because we have the database for Destiny 2, you can see whatever it is, some specific hand cannon, and right now they're all identical, but I wonder when they change things, whether, the database will kind of update to display that as well, whether there'll be two different versions of a hand cannon potentially. But David Shaw did add that they actually have a way to manage weapons separately, so he said we don't want to be stuck in the lurch like, oh god, I wish we could tune this one rocket launcher separately. We built stuff that will allow us to diverge if we need to. Our intent is to stay as similar as possible, but we'll see what happens. So an example of that, archetypes in the game are exactly the same. I'm using a blue auto rifle in this gameplay right here. It's the same archetype as the origin story. You can see that it's doing 23 critical damage, which is exactly the same on both platforms. It's the same with this hand cannon right here. This is a high impact hand cannon, 71 a crit on the PC, and comparing it to the steady hand on console, you still get 71 a crit. That's interesting in itself, but it actually points towards why we haven't seen any kind of change inside of Destiny 2 just yet. Not that I think there are any kind of screamingly massive problems as far as weapon balance goes, but obviously Bungie wanted to get the PC version out of the door first to see if, when they make a change to a hand cannon or an auto rifle potentially, they want to see whether they need to make the same change on both platforms or whether they need to diverge, which is the word David Shaw used, to actually manage those weapons. So I thought that was worth pointing out. Any of you guys on console that haven't played PC or vice versa, that loosely explains, how things are kind of operating with balance. Moving on, I wanted to talk about some bans. So PC players all over the place have been experiencing kind of mysterious random bans from Destiny 2. There are many players who've actually never booted the game up before and have gone in on the PC launch and it's actually told them they're banned the first time they've ever got into the game. I actually have some experience of this inside of the PC beta. I actually had a notification saying that I've been banned. This was like right on the last day of the beta, and I was almost 100% convinced that it was because of an application which had actually opened on my PC, which is a recording application which tried to grab hold of Destiny 2. And of course, we've learned that many of these kind of overlays or anything that connects directly with the game can actually not work or not function properly in Destiny 2, and it's part of their kind of anti-cheat system. And David Shaw on Twitter came out and said, we do block programs from pushing their code into our game. Most overlays work like that. We don't ban for that though. That's internet BS. But this is causing a lot of frustration because people aren't getting direct kind of answers about what's going on, and these bans, according to the help page, are permanent bans on Destiny 2. But considering I had that issue with software, some other players are saying that they've received bans after Discord overlays have come up or after they've had recording applications. Windows DVR is another one. A lot of these things, according to what players are saying, seem to be kind of triggering this problem. And obviously, I don't think it's acceptable for players to receive bans who haven't actually done anything wrong, especially because of, like a bug or glitch or anything like that. So hopefully Bungie are going to come out with a pretty good answer for this and start addressing the issue. But despite what they've said about kind of, the applications you're using, my advice would be do not attempt to use any kind of overlays. Do not attempt to launch any software that will grab hold of the game, be it, capture software or party apps, communication things. And I know Bungie have said that you won't be banned for that, but honestly, I think it could have something to do with it because of the sheer number of players that are reporting this problem. You're talking literally thousands of players at this point within the past 24 hours who have barely even played the game. So that would be my advice on that front, guys. And hopefully if you have already been affected, we'll have some answers soon. The final thing I wanted to just mention is that Destiny 2 was the top-selling game in September, so Destiny 2 has actually outsold every other game that's been released inside of 2017, while it's only actually been out for 1 month. And this is data based primarily on the console launch. Of course, there are still plenty of PC sales happening at this point in time, so despite some of the issues that various players are bringing up about Destiny 2 right now, one thing is for sure, this game is absolutely absolutely huge. With the PC launch happening yesterday, there were over 200,000 viewers on Twitch, and Destiny was actually #1 in the directory for quite a few hours. So that's really, really good for the game, you know, the fact that it's sold so well and everything like that. Like I said, I completely recognize the issues that some players have with the kind of endgame and progression with Destiny 2 at the moment, but the fact that it's doing so well and it's so big is actually a good thing. It gives Bungie more power, more finance to actually progress and do more interesting things in the game in the future. So there we go, guys. I wanted to break down a few different bits and bobs inside of this video. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts about any of the leaked content, or if you're having any issues with the PC version, or any of your thoughts on the PC version in general. It's a fantastic looking game for sure. If you've enjoyed this video though, a like is appreciated below. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe to see a lot more Destiny 2 content. But for now, you guys have an awesome day.